Most people are still using AI like it's 2023. They're going to ChatGPT, they're going to Gemini, they're typing a one sentence prompt, having a bunch of back and forth to eventually get to what they're looking for. But in 2026, you could do a whole lot more with AI. You could build entire websites, entire apps to solve your problems without any technical skills. You could compress entire days worth of research into minutes. You could automate entire workflows with AI agents. You could create near perfect images and even videos from a simple text prompt and a whole lot more. So in this one video, I compressed the top 6 AI skills that I think you need in 2026. I want to show you a hands-on demo with each one and exactly what app is the best one for each skill. And I also have a free resource that I actually personally put together here with my team, and we just updated it for 2026. It's the top 100 AI tools for business, and we handpicked these AI tools and we sorted them. So there's thousands of AI tools, well over 5,000 that we have on our Futurepedia website. Well, we picked the top 100. We made it really easy with 1 or 2 sentences to tell you exactly what to use it for. And they're categorized, so you could see if you want the best AI tools for image generation or for presentations, which one is going to be the right one for you. I'll put a link in the description. You could download it for free. And towards the end of the video, when we'll get to AI orchestration, it comes in really handy because in AI orchestration, you need to figure out which tools are worth your time and how they effectively fit in a workflow. So that goes hand in hand with this resource. So the very first AI skill that you actually need is how to communicate with AI the right way. And this has been around since 2023, actually since the release of ChatGPT in 2022. And this is called prompt engineering and is still very relevant today. So I'm going to get much more advanced in this video, but this is the very basic fundamental skill that you need to get the most out of AI. So as I'm recording this video, the top AI chatbots available right now are ChatGPT, then you have Google Gemini, and you have Claude. Now, these 3 switch places. Sometimes ChatGPT is best, sometimes Claude is best, sometimes Gemini, sometimes depending on the prompt you use, you're gonna get different results out of each one. So I jump back and forth. I don't have a favorite. I use Claude the most right now, but again, that changes hand all the time. But the way you communicate with all these AI chatbots or prompt engineering, sometimes referred to as prompt design, is how you format your question. Okay, so there's something called lazy prompting. That's when you write a prompt like this. Write a YouTube script about the best AI tools. You're gonna get pretty much the most generic response these AI models are capable of giving you. It doesn't matter which AI tool you use. It doesn't matter which model selection you use. You're gonna get something that most people are gonna tell is AI generated. So how do you actually make this better? Well, a couple of things. The first thing is how you craft this prompt. Now, I've been teaching this since 2023 and it's become a habit for me. So I recommend you make it a habit for yourself because once you understand this prompting technique here and you make it a habit, it reduces your back and forth conversations with any of these AI models. And it's a skill that's going to translate to pretty much everything you do with AI, even when you get more advanced using AI agents and things like that we're going to get into. So instead of that prompt, I'm going to write a prompt like this. I'm creating a 10-minute YouTube video for small business owners about AI tools to save time, make the hook fast-paced, use beginner-friendly language, include impressive real-world examples, and structure the video like a walkthrough. Now, this is going to give me an entirely different types of response, right? The pacing is going to improve. This is actually going to give me the length that I was looking for, the format, the language, everything is going to match what my prompt said rather than that vague prompt, right? And for that, you need a simple 4-part prompt formula. What's your goal? What do you want ChatGPT to do? I want you to do a certain task. Then the context, that's the second part that I give it. What does it need to know before it gives you an answer? This makes a huge difference, and I'll build on this in a second. Then you could also give it a role. This one is optional, but you could tell it to act as a world-class copywriter or a world-class YouTube script writer, right? That would be the role that it will try to mimic. And then the format, I asked for a 10-minute YouTube script. How should it be structured? Well, there's a ton of formats, right? Sometimes you want a bullet point, sometimes a numbered list, sometimes in table format, sometimes a 500-word blog post. You want to mention that. And if you use this kind of prompt formula, right, that will become a habit. You don't really think about it every time. You just make sure you give it enough context and you explain the output and the goal that you want out of that response, you're going to get really clear outcomes. And let me just build on that example here. The other thing as part of how to get the best out of these AI models is actually a lot of times you want to turn on what's called a thinking model. So these AI chatbots in the background use different AI models, right? They all have different numbers to them. They change all the time. They release new models all the time. You usually want to use the latest, greatest model. It doesn't matter if you use them inside of ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, right? But the instant model is going to give you quick answers. But the thinking model or extended model, sometimes they're referred to, they will think, basically mimic how a human thinks, go through step-by-step logic, and then give you a response. Yes, they take longer. They're not an instant answer, but I basically have mine turned to this by default for everything. Why? I want the AI to give me the best answer, and I'm willing to wait for it. And remember, as part of our formula, we had context. So a lot of these lets you press the plus sign and add things like a company knowledge base. That's what I have with a business plan I have inside of ChatGPT. Inside of things like Claude, you have things like connectors. So you could connect to your entire Google Drive. You could connect to your Slack. You could connect to hundreds of different applications where the context for your business, for your company, for your personal life sits in. So you could pull in that context, and it makes prompting easier, right? You don't have to spell out all the context inside of your prompt. You could pull in from relevant information automatically. And if you don't have those connectors, you could always upload those files and make it part of your context. So when you're given it a prompt, you could access PDFs or whatever you want to upload to it to give you better results. So combining that prompting formula, combining the thinking model, in addition to any context that you could give access to with connectors or uploading files, is going to take how you're using these AI models as a chatbot to a whole new level. Okay, so that was all part of number one. The second AI skill is research, and there's plenty of tools for that. I'm going to specifically focus on another AI tool called Notebook LM, but research or deep research is also available in any of the AI chatbots you already use. So ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude all have a research mode. So what you do is type in a prompt and you turn on this deep research mode. And in addition to that, you could give it access inside of ChatGPT, for example, to different apps. Let's say I had things inside of Slack or Dropbox or Asana, any of those apps that I've connected to, I could pull in the deep research in addition to the web search. Deep research, typically without the apps, will search the internet across hundreds of websites, right? And it will give you a polished report at the end. Now, deep research does take typically 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, depending on how complex your prompt is, but it gives you really, really usable things. I use it for my personal life to plan entire trips, and I use it for work almost every single week. But let me show you what Notebook LM is capable of. So Notebook LM is a product by Google and is free to use, and they do have paid upgrades to it, but you could create what are called notebooks here. And what notebooks allow you to do is you could do the same kind of thing I just showed you, where it goes and searches for the web. And it also has that deep research built into Notebook LM to go find a bunch of different sources for you. But in addition to that, you could ground your research on things you personally choose yourself, unlike what the other chatbots do here. So if I do a fast research just on that simple prompt, it's going to give me 10 different sources. And I could go through those sources manually and decide which one is most relevant to me. And if some are not relevant to me or I don't want them in my research, I could go ahead and check those off and only import what I want. Now, this is going to be different because my search here is going to be grounded on this information. And I could always add my own sources. They could be uploaded files, my own PDF documents. They could be things from my Google Drive. Again, this is a Google product, so easy to connect to that. Or individual websites and individual YouTube videos and pretty much anything else that you want to upload here. Now, I could basically use this middle section to have a back and forth conversation and draft a script, for example, but it's going to be grounded on this information. What that does is it reduces the amount of hallucination. It is grounded on information that you hand selected, and you could just skip the web search altogether and literally have it only have access to certain files that you upload to it, or even 1 or 2 YouTube videos that you choose to add to it by adding that source here. And it could be up to 50 different sources in a single notebook. So you limit your research with each notebook to be very specific. And if you have a paid plan, you get 300 sources that you could add for every individual notebook. And then on top of that, this studio section will let you turn things into video and audio podcast, for example. So makes it a lot easier to consume that information. It creates reports for you if you want. They have a ton of reports like a briefing doc or a study guide or even a blog post. Or you could turn things into infographics of all kinds of different styles. And I've made all kinds of different videos on this channel about Notebook LM. It will take your research to a whole new level if you're doing any type of deep research using existing AI chatbots right now. The next AI skills is content creation with AI. So when it comes to generating things like images, infographics, videos, voiceover, music, and even entire ads you could run for your business, AI could help you with that content generation. Now, this is one of the exciting areas in AI right now because one person can now create things that used to require an entire creative team to create. So for small businesses, this is a huge resource. And for creative people that did this already, now they could publish and create a lot more content this way, right? Now, let me show you a full workflow here, and we'll just use it inside of ChatGPT. I could type in a prompt, create a cinematic photo of a coffee cup sitting in a wooden table inside of a cozy cafe during golden hour. You see a lot of different specific details here. So ChatGPT is one of the very best models, the AI models that could create really powerful images. You also, inside of Gemini, could do the same type of thing. Gemini has another model. It's actually called Nano Banana that generates images. I'll show you the results of both. But right now, I think ChatGPT is actually in the lead as far as best model for image generation goes. And here's the result we got out of ChatGPT. And the nice thing is, on top of generating images, this is also an editor, which I'm going to show you how you could add things to this or remove things from this. And here's the same prompt inside of Google Gemini with the model in the background called Nano Banana. So what you could do now is you could make edits here. So I could, for example, upload my own logo and have that added to this coffee mug naturally. So I'll upload that file and I'll say add this naturally into this coffee cup. Okay, just like that, it's naturally added that logo. And our logo obviously didn't have all these details here to match the cup. It's added that without me having to very specifically tell it to do that. And then one more follow-up prompt here. I had to remove all the people from the background, but it's kept everything else the same in the foreground. Now, this is where Gemini has an ability that other AI chatbots don't have, which it could now turn this into a video. They have a video model inside of Gemini called Veo, and I just give a follow-up prompt here inside of the same chat in the same workflow to turn this into a video. Now, Google also has an entirely different platform called Google Flow, and Flow is another place where you could generate images and videos, but it's really a creation platform for creating more long-form videos where you could attach different video clips that you create with AI back to back to tell a more comprehensive story. Now, the next skill is AI agents, and this is probably the biggest shift happening in AI right now, and it's probably the future of AI, these things called AI agents. The easiest way to think of AI agents is that instead of asking an AI like ChatGPT a question or having it do something that requires a back and forth conversation, you're going to tell it to go achieve something or complete a job, and the AI will figure out all the steps is required to do that job, and it will go do it, and it will give you a finished result at the end. There are plenty of places where you can build AI agents, and up to this point, they've been relatively complicated to create. But ChatGPT recently added this thing on the left side called agents, where you could press the plus sign and create your agent just by talking to this agent builder. So if you wanted to build something, for example, called Morning Planner, right? A prompt could be create an agent that looks at my calendar, tasks, and open threads each morning and turns them into a clear plan. Now, if you send this out to this agent builder, it will figure out how to build that agent. So at its core, an agent will need to be assigned a task to complete, which we gave it through the prompt. In order to achieve that task, sometimes it needs to access different tools. So it will know with this agent builder which tools are required to connect to. These are the 3 it picked here. It also creates different capabilities for itself, because a lot of times an agent is not a task that requires one step. It requires multiple steps, so it needs multiple capabilities. And once you do build the agent, it's just as simple as giving it a task or setting up a schedule where it does a task on a repeated basis. In this case, it's scheduled for every day at 8 a.m. and you could always change that. Now, when you edit an agent too, after you create it, you could add more channels. Slack is another one. You could add more apps. They have something called skills. So you could define very specific things an agent could do that maybe regular ChatGPT is not going to be good at. You could describe these skills. And agents also have a more persistent memory. They could remember things for a longer time because they have a memory file like this that they could write different things to and then refer back to those. So it kind of creates a document for itself. It has a role and it has the step-by-step guide on how to do things. And then it has an output of how it should give you a response at the end. And it has some safety protocols so it won't do things that you don't want it to do. So all these are what makes up an agent. And as I mentioned, creating them inside of ChatGPT right now is probably the easiest thing for building agents that could actually go take care of different things for you. Now, this leads me to another major AI skill, and that is something called vibe coding. And it sounds like it's complicated because it has the word code in it. But what you could do with vibe coding is you could build entire websites, entire working apps, even AI-powered applications by just using plain language to describe what you want. And then the coding happens in the background. You never have to look at a line of code. So here's an example. This is a platform called Lovable, which is a paid platform that I pay for. And it just has a chatbot on the left side. And I tell it what to do. And it literally created this entire app for me. So this is like a prompt library I made for the top image models that are available right now. And I didn't have to write any code. Although in the background, this writes thousands and thousands of lines of code to be able to generate this, but the preview is this, and it's one-click publish to a website. That is incredible. These are things that a couple of years ago would literally take an entire team. Just recently, actually back in 2025, they started getting really, really good because Claude, which I've shown you a few times, released a model that's excellent at coding, and it was able to create things like this. So Lovable is one of the easiest places to get started with vibe coding. It's what I've used now for a couple of years. I still use it all the time. Now, the other app, which I've downloaded on my computer, is by Claude, and it's for something called Claude Code. Again, it has the word code in it, but I didn't do any coding. All I did was I created all these different applications with Claude Code just by typing in a simple text prompt and having a back and forth conversation. And these could be AI powered apps. And these are just really powerful apps here that you could use to create all kinds of different mini apps to help you do things on your own computer. The nice thing with Claude Code is the files that it creates sit right on my own computer in a folder that I give it access to. So it's self-contained to that folder on my computer. It could write to that folder, it could read from that folder, and it could create things like this just from a simple text prompt. So if you want to get started with vibe coding, I think Lovable is a great place to get started. Just go to lovable.dev, type in a text prompt here, and set it to build for you. You could always ask it to plan an idea for you too before you build it to make sure it's going to go in the right direction. You could press the plus sign here and attach all kinds of different files or entire design systems here. And it could connect to databases and different apps. So it's a really robust app here, but there are plenty of alternatives right now. Vibe coding is just really taking off. And a lot of people, as they're getting more advanced, they're moving away from things like Lovable and using things like Claude Code that is really more designed for developers. But again, someone like me that is not a developer, but an entrepreneur, I've been building a ton of different apps, mini apps with Lovable, with Claude to take care of tasks inside of our company right now. Now, I think the last important skill is the skill of orchestration. So this is basically workflow thinking with an AI angle, right? Knowing what you want to achieve, then figuring out which AI tools should handle each step for you. Because specific tools, they're going to change all the time, right? So it's not really trying to figure out every little bells and whistle and mastering just one single tool. It's about learning how AI systems work together. That's the orchestration part. So let me give you an example here. Let's say I run a small business, and every single week, before I even used AI, I have to, on Mondays, create a simple marketing plan that we're going to run that week, and then we'll compare it to the previous week's plan, right? Normally, that required me, before AI, I would sit down, come up with the offer we have for that week. Then I'll write my email or email sequence. I'll come up with my social post. Then I'll figure out, maybe do I use a tool like Canva to create graphics? What do I use for creating videos? Maybe that's a manual process. Then I have to schedule all that, delegate things, right? All that I now think of, well, how does AI fill in some of those gaps? That's where the orchestration comes in. And I'm going to think of a workflow that is AI powered first, right? So I'll jump into ChatGPT and I'll come up with my campaign and my offer and my email copy. Now, while ChatGPT is writing that entire campaign for us for the text portion of it, I'm going to jump into something like Gemini and I'm going to ask it to create my social posts, again, based on a prompt. So then I could put this inside of my content calendar and start publishing to the different platforms that I'm going to go to. Now here, I could go ahead and download this from here and then go to my favorite video creation platform. And here, I'm going to use that other platform I showed you, Flow. I'm going to upload that image to it. And just like that, I got a little video ad that I could post online to promote this candle here. Then I might jump into Claude. Claude has something called Co-work, which then I could upload all those different assets and ask it to be my marketing coordinator and put a 2-week calendar together for us. And with Co-work, well, Co-work will actually create things and plan things and put everything in a finished document on our own computer here in just a few minutes. And just like that, Claude created this Word doc for us with our content calendar. And he also gave me a calendar file that I could share with people to add these different things onto their calendar with everything we have to post. So as you can see, it's not about just using one tool, because a lot of people I still talk to are still just stuck using ChatGPT thinking that is AI. And yes, it's one of the best AI tools still to this day, but it's a very fraction of what AI is capable of. Even inside of ChatGPT, as you noticed, there's a ton of different AI tools that most people haven't touched yet. So I think we're still very, very early, even though it's been well over 3 years since the release of ChatGPT at this point. But you can see when you figure out which tools are useful, how you could bring them all together to have a complete workflow, and how to actually speed up a ton of regular daily work with these processes, I think you're going to really see the full potential of AI. Now, we also have an entire platform that I launched way back in 2023 called Skill Leap that teaches you how to use AI with linear workflows and entire courses and downloadable resources and a community. So with that, you get access to the latest and greatest techniques in getting the most out of AI. I'll put a link in the description. It has a 7-day free trial to make sure it's a good fit for you. And then if you keep your access, it's month to month, and you get access to all our existing and new courses. Now, if you're still using ChatGPT, but you've heard a lot about Claude, I compare them in this very detailed video right over here that I recommend you watch next.